recording is started, it says this is being recorded there. It just happened.
That show is recording. That was my fault. Sorry.
That's why I spoke up.
And we are just doing introductions. If you would introduce yourself, sir,
Jeff McBrayer,
and your position with the board.
member at large.
The first item will be confirmation of the meeting schedule. Does anybody see any problems with that schedule? If not, we'll just assume that it's accepted. And I do want to make a comment and apologize to our community members for not letting you know a good deal earlier that we were holding this meeting. That is my fault, and we're going to fix that in the future so that you have at least a couple weeks notice of this meeting, so you can plan for it better. That's my fault. So, all right. The next thing will be the budget officer presents the proposed budget documents and the budget message. If you want to.
Sure. You can refer to the budget message that looks like this. The budget has 5 parts. There's a general fund that covers day-to-day operation. There's a special fund, resources and requirements, system development charge fund for future developments. And that money comes from charges for new hookups. There's a reserve fund, resources and requirements, capital resources fund for replacement and improvements. There's a reserve fund for the low income assistance fund that helps those in our community who can't afford to pay for sewer services. And then there's our bonded debt, the debt service that pays off the various bonds that happened through elections that allowed us to build the plant 20 years ago. What else do I need to say?
Just so you're aware of the budget message and its role in this entire process, the Oregon Department of Revenue produces a local budgeting manual, and this is done by the Property Tax Division of the Department of Revenue. And in that, on page 14, is the requirement that there be prepared a budget message. And there are 5 categories that need to be explained. And I think in a brief sort of way, Simeon has explained that on the one page that we have as far as what the budget is about. And if you want to see what's required in the manual, I'd be happy to share a copy of that page 14 with anybody that is interested in it. So
I think it's fair saying about this year's budget that it's largely like last year's budget. We aren't raising user fees. And there haven't been any large dramatic changes in the budget.
So I don't know if you kind of want to walk through this a little bit page by page, perhaps, since the staff has done most of, if not all, of the preparation of this budget document. I don't know, do you want to address some of this, Dan?
I got a
In
question.
terms or whatever, please go ahead.
So there's two things here.
Yeah, this is officially the budget message.
Okay.
This is a proposed letter to ratepayers
Okay, good.
announcing that we aren't raising rates,
All right.
which we haven't decided to send out yet.
That's the main thing people want to know.
And we will discuss that subsequently as to whether that letter is important and whether it should be sent out or not. Because in past years, when there was no rate change, nothing was sent out. So, but I understand that month to month and the charges that we assess is of concern to everybody, given the general economic environment that we're all living in as far as increased costs. But we can talk about that perhaps a little bit later. But do you want to talk a little bit to the budget?
I'm prepared for questions. Um, does the committee or anybody?
I have a question on your payroll. It increased, but the taxes decreased.
Payroll increase, but taxes.
Decreased
Uh,
from the previous year.
What page are we on?
Page 2.
Is that page two?
Yeah, it's on page 2, it's line 15.
So the unemployment state tax is the one you're asking about. Is that correct?
I'm asking about, well, I grouped all of them. Because I know that the unemployment state tax can vary between 0.9% and 5.4%.
From what was budgeted last year and what we paid in the final expenses, we were well below that.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah, that's why we lowered it.
Okay. Well, I didn't know, and I thought, well,
Yeah.
that's kind of odd because your payroll's higher, you know?
Agree.
Okay.
Okay,
And this is Craig. I've got a question for you, kind of a general one. Last year when we were going through this process, I know you were wrestling with the tariffs and how that was impacting things. Can you kind of talk us through what has happened in the last year in that regard, and what you're seeing for purchases, as well as any impacts from what's going on in the Middle East and how that's been built in?
Well, currently for last year, we anticipated the higher tariffs cost more. We didn't need as many maintenance. We didn't have as many maintenance projects or breakdowns that required purchasing equipment and parts that were affected by the tariff very much. I think we had a couple of items that were hit with about 3.5% tariff, which were on small items, I think under $10,000. And so we just didn't have to spend what we anticipated would come because the prices didn't go up. What we suffer from now is availability of parts. Not so much the price or the tariffs on the parts. And then, of course, fuel costs, the generators and things like that. We're anticipating that to go up quite a bit in the next couple months. But we were under, like right now, I think we were like $50,000 under to date on our expenditures for general fund. From revenues collected, we're still about $50,000 under what we collected from revenue spent. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
so could you also explain for the group's edification, where a lot of our major parts come from, whether they're domestic, whether they're from overseas, and if so, where overseas?
Well,
Pumps, motors,
all of our pumps are actually Sweden. They're made in Sweden.
Sweden.
Our flight pumps, yes. Every company that we deal with anymore is a Fortune 500 company. So it could be built in America, but they could be getting their parts from all over the world. Steel comes from Canada metal. It's foundered here in Portland, but they're still hit with the different prices.
So are you sort of limited in the choices of companies you can deal with? I mean, like you said, Flight is one we deal with. Are there other vendors out there, or are they sort of in control of things, so to speak?
Well, the manufacturer, in this industrial that we work in, they have, areas that their vendors, the suppliers, that their vendors cover. So if I need a oxygen probe from one of the basins, I have to go to Whitney Equipment. They're the vendor for the products of YSI and that type of equipment. If I need a pump or pump repair, I have to go to Xylem. Xylem also encompasses our UV, which is Wedeco, which is our treatment plant, which is sanitary. So there are larger companies that own most all of it now.
But you can't just go out and get 3 or 4 vendors to competitively bid.
No,
Okay.
not on a lot of the specialized items that operate the pump stations and operate the treatment plant. We can on some smaller collection stuff, some of the piping that we're not held to any certain area. We can go out and price that.
So I guess what you're also saying is the plant, as far as how it's built, you're almost limited as to the vendors you can select to keep it running.
Most items are proprietary.
Okay.
Does that make more sense? It probably does to you, but yes, a lot of it is proprietary. So you don't have the option to
Okay.
go anywhere else.
All right.
And when they're engineered with proprietary parts in them. It's really a big subject to try to break down quickly.
Okay.
But
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that, or does that make perfect sense?
Perfect sense. Sole sourcing.
sole sourcing.
All right. Any other questions, particularly on the general fund?
Dan, this is Craig again. Again, going back to last year, I know you talked fairly extensively about the age of the plant and needing to, begin to build reserves so that, you can maintain it and replace parts that are, needing to be replaced. Can you talk a little bit about how this budget either extends that, accelerates that, given the tariff situation, and just kind of your views on where we're going and where we'll be in the future?
So we maintain basically two categories. You have your general fund, and in your general fund, on line 26, you have your wastewater treatment plant, O&M, so operations and maintenance. That's for general repairs, nothing specialty that has to be replaced. The second part and that budget is $655,000. And then if you go to your reserve fund, which is your capital resource fund,
What page is that again?
page 4. And you will see on the capital resource, if you look at the LV 11 in the top left corner, it describes what this fund is designated for, and the money that goes in can only be used for this. So if you go to on the top is your resources, that's where your user fee comes in. The bottom is what we plan for emergency repairs, large replacements, replacing a control panel at a pump station. It's not a normal O&M, monthly operations and maintenance. That's a major repair replacement. That's usually exceeds $70,000 to $80,000 to replace that. So that's not a general fund annual budget item that we plan for. So the reserve fund is to take care of those unexpected or even planned large expenditures like that. Does that help?
Yeah, I think so. What I recall from last year is you wanting to begin to build some reserves for that so we didn't have a very large rate increase at some point in the future when you were met with some of these large expenses. And I just wanted to make sure you're still feeling like we're on that, increased path, so that you're well situated for it in the future.
Yes, I believe we are. We had an unexpected world event 6 weeks ago, which seems to be affecting prices. The most immediate thing we're going to see is, our fuel prices go up. I can't tell you where that's going to stop. We just got a fuel delivery day. That's another $1.50 higher per gallon for gasoline with the associated taxes and fees. But it also will start to spread out amongst other parts or O&M that requires petroleum-based products. Rubber seals, we could go on English based on petrol. So that could affect this, but I'm thinking it's not going to really hit us. We don't have anything large that we know of right now that needs to be replaced. We have standard O&M parts, consumables, but I'm not expecting any large expenditures for large repairs. The only thing that could affect is the Avalon pump station that we're doing. Right now, it's still in design. But I think that we have everything pretty much covered. We have a large, for emergency repairs, we have $200,000 in our capital resource budgeted for that. I don't expect to have another large failure like we did at the main pump station where that was over $200,000. Each one of those pumps are $155,000, and we have 5 of them down there.
Dan,
Yes.
along the same lines as Craig, you pointed out the major emergency repair line item on page 4 under requirements, and that there's $200,000 budgeted there. And this previous year, there was 455,000 budgeted, which is obviously, more than twice. Does that reflect kind of the retroactive budgeting that was done for the insurance recovery?
Yes.
Or
No,
okay.
that's what, that other 200 and some thousand came from the insurance. That's why it looks extremely high for last year. If you look at the year before, we had $103,000 in emergency repairs. So we've anticipated extra costs, so we upped that to 200,000.
For the community,
Or we spent 103,000 in actual. I think that's what, if I'm correct, Craig, those are actuals that we actually spent, but we have 200,000 budgeted for this next fiscal year.
Dan can explain it much better than I can, but that 455,000 was due to, a good portion of it was the insurance recovery after the basically catastrophic failure of one of the pumps
At the main pump station.
at the main pump station down at the hollow. Thing just blew apart, and the recovery was what, 200 in insurance? 200,
Yeah, it was about 205,000 total for all the
yeah,
damage.
including what, a new pump,
Yes,
and I don't know.
155,000 of that, 205,000 was just the pump replacement.
And then just for clarification, my understanding is that that failure wasn't anything that we'd done. It was done by an outside company that didn't torque some bolts down correctly.
It was, I'm gonna be careful there. I don't
Yeah.
know where the settlement wound up.
It was not us.
Company, but no, it was not us. It was an outside source that made some mistakes when they installed the pump or did some maintenance work for the pump.
Right.
Then on page 3, there's a fair-sized price tag on the secret Avalon station and another 100,000 for the Oceanside pump station. I don't know if everybody knows what we're doing in Avalon, where it is and why that price tag is high last year and this year?
We're in the process of design, and the Avalon pump station's at the lower Grand. You have Upper Grand and Lower Grand, if you're going back just past Terrace, when you start to straighten out, there's a hollow that drops down below. That's Lower Grand, and that's where we're installing a pump station to service those 25 plus properties that are down there, lots.
You right across the street from the large garages, if you drive down through the hollow there.
And so when is that plant formally going to be built?
We're in design. When we first started, it's like I told you, it'll take 2 to 3 years to complete. If we actually get into even going out to bid by this time next year, it'll be close.
So we can anticipate another year's budget of similar size.
Yes. By then, we should know what the actual bid costs are to make sure we still.
Dan, that'll roll over, I assume.
Yeah, so it'll continue to roll.
Yeah.
It might change a little if we see the costs are going up and we talk to the board to see how much, what's gonna be the breaking point to stop doing it, if that comes up.
So I'd like to add something to, is it Chris or Craig's comments? Craig. Craig, one of the things that also I think that we're preparing for is the planned obsolescence of some of the IT stuff. That, to look at the building and all, and it just seems like it's brand new. At least it does to me.
Yeah.
But it's not. And some of the computer generated technical things that we now use to work the plant are going to need to be replaced on a pretty.
Between your SCADA, telemetry, that type of stuff, it changes, evolves, your security system, your cameras. These cameras currently are 15 years old. They're becoming obsolete, not supported, and nothing's designed these days for controllers running anything on a PLC or in the cloud. So technology becomes obsolete much quicker than anything mechanical.
But we've got in the budget, we're preparing.
Yeah, so if you go back to the O&M, you'll see $655,000 is in there. We're anticipating there's more control panels
Right.
that need not the entire panel, but the controllers inside upgraded, which is basically upgrading the electronics and the PLCs in there.
Makes perfect sense.
Somebody brought up Oceanside Pump Station. I still leave that in there. I don't know what's gonna happen. We're gonna eventually face having to enlarge that pump station for higher flow. We're still building out whether they complete the future restaurants or complete the future hotels or just build out that pump station's getting to its max of its reserve capacity.
And that $100,000 is enough to deal with that when it happens?
It's not enough to do, it'll take care of all the engineering and planning towards that. Then we'll readdress what is required of how much of a change or upgrade we have to make that pump station.
Okay.
So I don't know if our community members understand system development charges, but it is a separate fund. Somebody comes in, they build a house, and to hook up their sewer, they're gonna pay a system development charge of $13,850 for that. It goes into this fund, which is held for future developments such as the Avalon West project or other similarly situated projects. And it could possibly be for the Oceanside pump station improvements based on what additional flow capacity is necessary. So it's not something that can be dipped into and used for anything else but development, period. So
John?
Yes.
Just since I know we're coming, I think, to close to the end of the scheduled meeting, one item I wanted to point out, make sure I understand correctly, and also point it out for the Budget Committee. If you go to page 7, the Debt Services Fund supplement, you'll notice that on line 4, 14, and 21, there's a item of payments of one of the bonds that the district has owing that actually gets paid off. And the debt service goes down by roughly $250,000 next year. Basically, that's 1 out of 4 of these bonds is going away after all these years. And I just wanted to, first of all, make sure if I understand that correctly. And if I do, I just think it was worth specially noting.
Jerry, are you at the bottom, the DEQ loan for the state revolving fund? One with one payment of 117,000 left.
Well, I'm looking, I saw that on the narrative. I was looking at the LB 36, the page 7, which is the debt services fund schedule of payments. So I said my number was close to yours, but that's what I was looking at.
There should also, yeah, one more.
So,
There
did I
should
get that right, Dan? First of all, make sure I'm correct about that.
Yeah, that was for the Netarts Gulf Basin pump station and new force main. That's what that SRF DQ was back in 2005.
So like, Yahoo, we paid that off.
It was a 20-year bond, and I think our first payment was in 2006. So that would bring it up to 2026.
So there should also be, along with the budget, a summary of the bond payments and where things currently are. Hopefully you have that also. And you'll see down at the bottom is the loan, the DEQ loan that Jerry is referring to, that the final payment will be 8/01/26. But then we have quite a ways to go on the other 4.
Yeah, so on this bond that we're paying off, it does look like that last payment is in August. But on the budget sheet on page 7, it doesn't show up like there's a payment to be made in this next budgeting period, which seems inconsistent. So I was just wondering if someone could clarify why it looks like it does.
So. It's right here.
Line 2.
Line 2, page 7, line 2.
Craig, did you hear that? Page 7, line 2?
Yeah, page 7, line 2.
It's up towards the top, right? That's the payment.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. I got you.
Okay. So I don't feel like I have to start the next meeting at 5:30. If we run a little over here in the budget committee meeting, that's fine, as long as we get questions answered that need to be answered today. So I think that kind of goes over the budget. Good job, Cindy.
Well, thank you. Good job to the staff who put it together. I'm curious what the budget committee feels about sending out this letter to ratepayers. Is that something you want to do?
Is there a newsletter or an email list that maybe could be sent that way instead of having them? Because I think people might read and increase.
$1,800 just in materials.
Yeah, that's why. Is there
July 1st,
like an online newsletter or something like that?
I don't
That's
think we
what
should
I would
send
do.
that.
Just announce it in your.
I mean, I don't usually, I'm not used to getting a letter saying, good
Right.
news, we're not gonna raise your bill.
Yeah.
I think you should just
Yeah,
save the money and the time, and
yeah, or on your
Put it
website
on
or
our
something.
website.
Yeah, that's what I would
you can
put
put
right
it
on
on the
that.
website. Yeah, there you go.
We're also
Anybody
working
has
towards
questions?
the idea of having a Facebook page, which when we get to that point, it could be there
Mhm.
also. Yeah.
We could give the letters to the, local community centers and stuff. And you guys have your local meetings. And you guys find out
Yeah.
better.
There could be an announcement.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. And then you'll get an applause.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. It's a positive.
Which is better than we got last. The tomatoes.
I just wanted to be aware of what it costs to send those.
Yeah, okay.
And then a lot of the people think it's bad news, they throw it in the garbage anyway, then they call us, wait a minute, what happened, you know?
So I have only one other question. This is directed to Nancy. Did you get a tour of? the
I
facility?
did. I did. It was a great tour.
What-
Thank you very much.
What do you think?
I thought it was a very well-run facility, to be perfectly honest. Prior to moving to Netarts, I've been in the public sector in facilities management for about 18 years, county level and at the higher education level. And yeah, the things I saw and the things I heard about preventative maintenance and capital planning, and I feel like very proactive. And that's refreshing coming from county government.
Thanks. You have to thank the staff for that.
Yeah,
I was impressed you knew what Esri was.
I sure do.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, they were
Right.
embedded into the software that we used for our CMMS.
First thing Brian came in and told me. She did.
I sure do, yeah.
And I'd
So, yeah.
I'd like to thank Nancy for doing this.
Sure, yeah, I appreciate it. It's kind of my background, and as much as you try to get away from your background sometimes, it's like, oh, it's interesting.
Drives you
So
back
thanks, you guys.
So, but we're still, for the future, this is, I don't know if anybody told you, but the idea is that it would be a 3-year tour on the budget committee.
Mhm.
And if you know other folks that would be interested, I would like to increase the participation on the Netarts side. I mean, we do have 2 board members that live in Netarts, but I'd also like to have at least 2 members of the community that would also be from Netarts.
Sure. Okay.
So,
Well, can I meet some people?
yeah.
Haven't been here all that long yet, but.
Right. So if there's no other questions, I'll adjourn this meeting at 5:36. Members of the community, you're welcome to stay or leave, whatever is best. And we'll take about 4 minutes and then we'll start at 5:40. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And John,
Fun stuff.
Just,